I am Dr. Rhonda Bryant, and I'm Interim Vice President for Student Affairs here at Albany State University. I've been in the position for about a month now, all hands on deck and hit the ground running. We are actually looking, so it's very interesting you asked me about my title, because we're looking at a name change. We're looking at moving from a more traditional model of student affairs to the Division of Student Success and Engagement. So we're still looking at that and talking with, we want to talk with our students about their thoughts about that too. But that's kind of where we're looking toward moving. But for right now, it's still Division of Student Affairs. My first job was unpaid, and I was 10 years old, and my father made me teach myself to type. So during that summer, I grew up in Washington, D.C., but I spent my summers in North Carolina with family. Excuse me. So all my friends were going to the country that summer. Everybody was doing fun things, and my father pulled out a Smith Corona power typewriter, and he said he brought out the typing manual that stands. He said, "You're going to teach yourself to learn how to type." I was so angry. I was so frustrated. I said, "You never let me have any fun. I don't get to go anywhere and do anything." It was the best thing that anybody ever made me do, because I did that. When I got to college, I was able to type my own papers. I was able to type for other people. So when keyboarding and computers came about, of course, I was able to go a lot faster than everybody else. So my first job was to teach myself how to type. I would like to be able to say something very lofty and noble. I am positive that the first thing I did was went and bought a book, and then I bought shoes and pocketbook. So that's what I did. My biggest priority is to make sure that our programs touch every student, not just our traditional moving from high school to college. And those students are important, but we have adult learners, we have people who have maybe started a degree and not finished for whatever reason. We have military folks who are not just active service members, but people who may be reserve or retired service members, or just left the military, separated, and also their dependents. And we also have a sizable number of students who are online. So building a program that touches every student who matriculates at Albany State University is my biggest priority right now, my highest priority. Absolutely not. I am first generation college. I went to college at the University of Virginia, and I majored in psychology, and because I was first generation college, most of my effort was centered on finishing school in 4 years. The idea about career readiness, career planning didn't really hit me until second semester senior year, which is very late. My best friend got accepted into a counseling program. She said, "You know, you'd be good at that." And I went to the director of the counseling program and told him, I said, "Well, you know, my grades are okay and my test scores might not be what you want, but if you give me a chance, I'll finish. I promise I'll finish." And he gave me a scholarship and he let me into school. So with that, I became a professional counselor. So I've been a counselor since, well, I've been a professional counselor for 26 years. So that's been a while. And so my first emphasis was working with substance abusing women and children and their families. So I came to higher ed because I recognized that a lot of the work that we did, school didn't always prepare us well. So I wanted to provide some real world experiences to college teaching of counseling. So I had no idea that I would end up here. Didn't plan for that. My prayer book, um, a cell phone that has range so I can call somebody. Um, and an emergency kit with food and medicine and rations. I think there is a learning curve for every student who comes back, who comes to school, whether it's for the first time or they've stopped and come back. It would be a learning curve for me, even if I were to go back and take classes or do something else, because every learning experience is different. It's that learning experience is tempered by the faculty, the university community, and the gifts that the student brings to that learning experience. But the one thing I try to stress to anyone who's coming is that this is an opportunity to develop, to learn new things about yourself, and it's not just career training. So often we, especially first generation college students, look at college as a way to, okay, if I go to college, I'm going to get a good job and I'm going to be at least better set than I was before I came. And certainly we hope that meaningful employment is an outcome, but I encourage students to look at this as an opportunity, particularly if you look at the programs that we have here in Student Affairs. We have the Center for the African American Male, the Counseling Center, Student Life and Activities, which of course helps develop leadership across campus and off campus as well. We've got student health services, so students can not only get help if they're not feeling well, but preventive services as well. And also the police department falls under under my purview. And so look for opportunities to develop new things, just physically, spiritually, emotionally, academically. We want to work with the whole student. And typically when we come, we're so focused on, I got to get that degree, that we leave other things can leave them undone. So that's what I try to stress. Really like my iPad. When I first got it, I said, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? This is nice, but it keeps me on time. It syncs with my meetings. Flick across the screen, I can see what's going on the internet, on campus. I get emails right away. The downside of it is that I have to learn when to put it down, and I'm learning how to do that. So I'd say my iPad. Zipporah, Moses' wife. Um, she was a spouse to a leader, but she had to be a leader herself, but she couldn't be in the spotlight. And so I would really be interested, what was it like to help your husband lead all those people and still be the wind under his wings, but be okay with not necessarily being in the spotlight. So I'd say Zipporah. Yes, I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to be an astronaut. I grew up, like I said, in inner city Washington, and I'm dating myself. Just the summer before I went to grade school, my mother had taken me to Buster Brown to buy my first pair of Buster Brown shoes for school. We came home, and it was a day of an Apollo launch. And I remember watching, it must have been 1969, and I remember watching and listening. And I knew it was a big deal because my mother, we all just kind of gathered in the room. And I remember thinking, I want to do that. I want to go someplace that nobody else has really been, to see what I can see for myself. So, of course, at that time, I didn't understand about all the science and technology behind it. It just looked cool. It just looked cool. Read. Read everything that you can get your hands on, not just on topics that you have a personal interest in, but if you hold a personal ideology that's so close to you, read books and writings on the opposite of your ideology. Learn about how others think, because then you can make a well-crafted rationale for what you believe. And you may find along the way it's not as ironclad as you thought it was. So reading is so important. It was such a big part of when I was growing up. We read everything. We read everything. So I'd say read. The best place we've been has been Robeson County, North Carolina. It's the country there. That's where my family, my parents' family, comes from. Nobody there is impressed with titles. They just want to know whose child you are. Who's your mama? Who's your daddy? And all you have to do is just be. You don't have to have a title. You don't have to have, all you have to do is just be who you are. So if you're a bookworm, you can be a bookworm. If you want to just sit and just eat all day and not talk about books, that's okay too. So I like North Carolina. I think it's a beautiful state. Though, let's see, one place I really want to go that I haven't been. I'm thinking about my husband. We had a conversation this morning. Paris. We want to go to Paris. So hopefully we can make that happen soon.